You're welcome to DROD'S MMA and Boxing. I want to give you guys a quick breakdown of Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira, their skills, the fights that they have in common, and the two fights that they've had. I also want to just educate you on both of those guys' styles and just help you make the best decision on who you think is going to win the fight. Now, these two guys have met twice already in kickboxing, and I'm here to tell you, if this was a regular kickboxing match, I will pick Alex Pereira to win this match, and I'm going to explain to you why. They fought twice already, and Alex Pereira won twice. The first one, I disagree with the judges. Israel Adesanya was the better fighter, and one of the things that he did well in that fight was he was able to give Alex Pereira angles. The angles, the footwork, the hand speed was too much for Alex, and so Israel Adesanya, he lost that match by decision somehow, some way. I don't know, but in all truthfulness, he was the better fighter. And you guys can go and I'll put the link in here. You guys can go watch the fight for yourself. Now, in the second fight, it kind of sort of happened the same way, Alex. But this time, Israel Adesanya decided to be more aggressive, and he was really taking the fight, and he put Alex Pereira on his back foot, and Alex Pereira was kind of sort of taking his time. And that's one thing that I've noticed by Alex. Alex is a slow starter, and I'm gonna explain to you in just a few seconds why. But he's a slow starter, and so he was having a hard time with the speed, the angles, the hand speed, and at one point it looked like he was going to get knocked out. And so the referee stepped in, and he gave Alex Pereira a standing 8 count to allow him to regroup. In MMA, he will not get that same opportunity to regroup. So that's where this fight gets very, very interesting between the two. So he ended up surviving that round, and he came back, and his mind switched. He knew that he no longer could be on the back foot, and he ended up making an adjustment by going forward. He ended up letting his hands and feet go, which made the fight very difficult. He has the stronger power. I mean, he's a stronger person, and he has more power to Adesanya, which means when he starts letting his hands go, he's going to push Adesanya back and push him on his back foot. And he understood that when he started letting his hands go, and that's what led to the knockout. Now, here's where I really want to show you guys how Alex Pereira gets better every time around. First off, in the beginning of his kickboxing career, he had to learn on the job. He's a converted boxer, which means he first started doing boxing. He was preparing for boxing, and then the opportunity for kickboxing presented itself, and so he went into kickboxing. He pretty much had to learn how to defend leg kicks and kick on the job. And so, yeah, he started off on a good win streak, but then when he started to fight upper echelon athletes like Jason Wilness and Simon Marcus, he started to taste defeat. Those fights were very difficult, but as time went on, you could see him making adjustments and getting better every time around. So it's hard to tell exactly where he's at this very moment, because if we take into consideration the fights that him and Israel Adesanya have in common. Now, we've seen that they've had 2 fights together, and we've seen how it works, right? He had a very difficult time with Adesanya's footwork and speed, and then he managed to figure it out in the second fight, which means he gets better. As time goes on, he does find his way, and he does get better. When he fought, when Israel Adesanya fought Simon Marcus, it looked like a very close fight. Now, granted, Israel Adesanya looked great. He looked superb. He was able to pick his shots. He looked fantastic in that fight. He won the fight. But when Alex Pereira fought Simon Marcus, he really put the beating on Simon Marcus. He really took the fight to him. And when they both fought Bulgari, the fight, even though I believe that Adesanya still looked great, but I was expecting him to put more of a show on, and even himself, he criticized the fight after. He criticized his performance, but you can see the big difference there, right? He had a good fight, but he was mostly like, doing the best he can, and Bulgari still has some key moments in that fight as well to make the fight look competitive. I mean, as far as Alex Pereira's goals, when he fought Bulgari, he put him to sleep. He put him to sleep, and then he won the light heavyweight title, right? When Israel Adesanya fought Jason Wilnis was able to keep Israel Adesanya's back against the rope. And even though he had some great moments, he landed some nice shots, some nice pop shots, he couldn't win the victory, because he couldn't win the battle, because in Glory Kickboxing, it was all about pushing your opponent. Whoever imposes their will, who's coming forward, the judges is going to give them more of the credit. And so Jason Wilnis was able to keep Israel Adesanya on his back foot. Israel Adesanya had some key moments, but really honestly, when he put the earmuffs on, he made it very difficult for Israel Adesanya. And at some point, yeah, he had some good moments, but at some point you could see where Israel Adesanya was deficient at. But then when Alex Pereira fought Jason Wilnis, he knocked him out. The first man to ever and the only man to knock out Jason Wilnis in a professional kickboxing match. It was done by Alex Pereira. So you see, we have the two fights. We have the fights they have in common, and Alex Pereira has looked dominant in every single last one of them. Now, granted, he fought those fighters multiple times. My point is this: he gets better as time goes on. But in the MMA bout, he may not get the opportunity to get better. That's where it gets very interesting. If he's allowed to study and figure Israel Adesanya out in 25 minutes, he will. But if Israel Adesanya is able to put the hurt on him early and quick, he doesn't give him an opportunity to make those adjustments. You see, this is a very technical fight. And originally I was like, oh yeah, Alex Pereira is going to win this fight. But then when I started to really think about it, this is not a kickboxing match. In fact, one of the things that Alex Pereira has done is that he keeps his hands low. And so he has a very difficult time making adjustments and being able to counter. When your hands is low, this is what Conor McGregor's problem is. When your hands is low, you can't counter punches. You know, especially if you throw your shot, this hand is still low. But if your hands is here, both hands are up high. So if I throw this shot, this hand is ready to come back. I can throw combinations. You know, if I can catch here, then I can come back here. You know, but if my hand is low, then my ability to be able to counter is not there because my hand is very low. So same thing if I throw a punch, then there's nothing there. So it's an adjustment that he's having a difficult time doing. But if he makes the adjustment and have both his hands up, now he's a more dangerous fighter. Now I know that he'll be able to pick shots off a little bit better. He'll be able to fight better. So if he comes in there with his hands down here, then Israel Adesanya will be able to use his hand speed to really get in there and land shots very quick and early. But if his hands are up, he's got a better chance of fighting Israel Adesanya. That's why I said if this was a kickboxing match, I'd pick him to win. But it's not a kickboxing match. You see what I'm saying? The other thing is, he still has an issue with fast fighters. He likes to be steady. He likes his foot to work. He likes to take his time, figure you out. He wants you standing in front of him. And he wants to land very hard, powerful shots. When he lost his title to... when he lost his light heavyweight title, he had a hard time adjusting to the speed and the footwork and the movement. And ironically, guess who was in his corner when he lost his light heavyweight title? None other than his current trainer, Glover Teixeira. So this is where I say it gets very interesting. He has a trouble with footwork right now, correct? And with speed, and he picked up a trainer who's also a flat-footed fighter. So how could Glover Teixeira prepare him for a mobile fighter? And that's the question that I pretty much have right now. But kickboxing, listen, they both competed in Glory Kickboxing, but he had the better career at Glory Kickboxing, Alex Pereira that is. He won both the middleweight and the light heavyweight title in Glory Kickboxing. And so that's why a lot of people pick him to win this fight with Israel Adesanya. And I'm here to tell you, is if Israel Adesanya decides to be aggressive with him, or if he's able to really get in there and slow Israel Adesanya down, then yeah, he has a good chance of winning this fight. He has the equalizer, and that's his power, you know. But he's gonna have to. I'm curious to see if he's gonna be able to make that adjustment in MMA, because having his hands down here doesn't benefit him. Having his hands up here does benefit him. And in his first MMA fight, he had a very difficult time having his hands up here. But when he made the adjustment in the final round with his hands up here, that's when he began to just lay into his opponent. That's when he really began to really win his fights, you know? I mean, win that fight. And so, you know, it's going to be interesting to see, because if Israel Adesanya is smart, if I'm Israel Adesanya and I see his hands here, then I'm going to use my angles, I'm going to move, I'm going to use my speed, and I'm going to try to get him out early within the first round. Landing some good power shots and try to get him out quick. Because as the fight goes on, Pereira gets better. He studies you, he finds your rhythm, he finds his range. He's just that good of a fighter. So, look, I don't know. You guys make your analysis and who you think is going to win. Personally, I'm going to tell you like this. If he lands a punch, he's winning this fight, because he has power in both hands. If Israel Adesanya is able to use his angles and move and get and pretty much take advantage of the slow starter and the man that's having his hands down, then he could surprise people and knock this guy out like Riddick Bowe knocked out Francis Botha. I mean, not Francis Botha, Andrew Galata. He can make it happen. I've seen it happen. But if Alex Pereira is able to make adjustments and get into his rhythm of things, and then finally get his hands up and begin to push Israel Adesanya around the ring, he can take this fight from him. He can. So that's where you see the conflicting styles. One person wants you to stand still so he can figure you out. The other person wants to move around. And so this is DROD'S MMA Unboxing. Hit the like button, subscribe, tell me what you think.